But yeah, apparently, the Israeli police are being very anti-Semitic, I'm hearing. I'm hearing there's some horrible anti-Semitism from the Israeli police. Israeli police say Jews aren't even allowed football anymore. Jews aren't even allowed football anymore. Obviously, earlier this week, the UK police were taking a bunch of shit from the most zogged out people imaginable, who are unironically bitching and crying and whining that the police decided Maccabi Tel Aviv fans could not come and see some fucking game against Aston Villa or some shit. Anyone that knows anything about this fucking Maccabi Tel Aviv team knows they are world-renowned racist thugs, okay? This is world-renowned racist thugs. They are the final boss of racist thug football hooligans. It is literally as bad as it gets. Police are doing those fans a service from saving them from being near Birmingham, fags. It's like they are as bad as it gets. And so anyone that looks at that could say, well, you know, this team specifically, they're a real fucking problem. And, you know, this country, we're quite pro-Palestine these days. You wouldn't want anything happening. Let's keep them away. Let's not deal with it. The police obviously feel like they can't handle it. Let's not deal with it. Obviously, it might be sometimes you can just handle it. You can handle the riots. But a lot of the time you can't. The police might decide, no thank you. We can't do that. And that's fine. That should be fine. We should just, you know, learn to settle down a little bit. You know, it's not Jews being banned from football for being Jews. It's the most degenerate, racist, thug football team in the entire fucking world being told, not this one. Not right now. This one time. This one time. Not right now. However, after all that fucking crying, after all that fucking bitching about how the UK is so anti-Semitic and we don't even let Jews play football anymore, just today, a match has been cancelled because a riot broke out between two Israeli teams in Israel.
Just want to bring you some breaking news from Tel Aviv now. And a derby match between the city's rival soccer teams, Hapoel Tel Aviv and Maccabi Tel Aviv, has been cancelled after riots broke out in and around...
It's literally the two Tel Aviv teams. Oh, well, two of them. I don't know how many there are. But Maccabi Tel Aviv being one of them. The match that supporters were banned, they've just had a riot. So, yeah. I think it's fine to say they're not allowed to come to the fucking UK and put our police on the strain. I think it's fine.
The stadium.
I think we can
the match was set to take place tonight in the city's Bloomfield Stadium when fans began to riot. In a statement on X, Maccabi Tel Aviv FC said, following the police's decision, it was determined that the Tel Aviv derby will not take place tonight. So that the very latest news out of Tel Aviv itself on that match between city rivals Hapoel Tel Aviv and Maccabi Tel Aviv being cancelled this evening. Just want to bring you some breaking news from...
Okay. I'm trying to get these videos, but my Discord's fucked up. 1 second. How do I make a window just like, go back to the shape? Go back to like default shape. What's like the shortcut for that? Yeah, like maximize. How do I make it like as if I press the in the top corner? Windows shift up arrow. That's not working. There we go. There we go. A riot broke out between Maccabi Tel Aviv and I don't know how you say it, Tel Aviv fans tonight, and the game was called off. But anyone who says that they don't want this kind of violence in Birmingham is an anti-Semite according to Keir Starmer and the Labour government. Well, that's okay. I don't. How much can I even show this? Is this allowed on YouTube? I don't even know. But anyway, yeah, you can see, you know, Israeli police having to quell a fucking riot over football. This was posted by Sky just beforehand, apparently. Maccabi Tel Aviv fans fan ban decision should be based on safety, not politics. Aston Villa fans tell Sky News.
I don't think politics belongs in football. I think it should just be a decision based on, obviously, the safety of our own fans, safety of everybody. I don't think anybody who has any sort of feeling that they're going to come down to Villa Park and say, we're going to cause trouble, we're going to, obviously, protest. I don't think that's right.
I think the Westminster police are scared about everything to do with that. Just let the game go ahead, let the away fans come, and let them enjoy the game. What's wrong with it?
Sport is sport.
Well, what's wrong with it is the fans of that club are a bunch of racist, degenerate hooligans. That's the problem. So that's why they've been banned. It's not actually anything to do with them being Jews, though the Israeli politics element to it obviously inflames tensions. You know, you can kind of link that back to being Jews, but it's not about them being Jews. It's not about them even being Israeli. It's about specifically that club, which has a bunch of racist thug hooligan fans. That is just the case. It's been known. I understand everyone wants to act like they're massive fucking victims because of that fucking pogrom in Amsterdam or whatever the fuck. But they were, you know, given it as well, right? Even in that. People always point to, what is it? There's some Telegram messages from, like, some of the guys who were fighting with the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, like some of the Muslim guys. Or I think it was Muslim guys in Amsterdam. I don't want to just pin it on... I think it was Muslims. I don't want to just pin it on Muslims, but I think it was Muslims. There were, like, Telegram messages between them where they were talking about going on a Jew hunt or some shit, and people always point to that. Go, oh, it was a pogrom. It was a pogrom. But no, Maccabi Tel Aviv fans were like chanting about fucking genocide and raping Palestinian women and all this fucking shit. They were like going crazy. And then we're totally happy to get in fucking fights. Like they always are. But everyone, you know, I know everyone, I'm sure you guys know this, but all the mainstream shit in the UK just tries to hardcore, like, paint them as like mega victims. Well, it's just not the case. It just isn't the case. They're a bunch of violent fucking racists. Like, yeah, I hate our violent racist football fans too. I hate football in general, I'm gonna be real. But I hate our violent racist football fans too. Nothing to do with them being Israeli. Yeah, Keir's just being a total pussy because of the synagogue attack the other week. But it's like, man, my sympathy is strained. You can tell by your rematch gameplay. That's fucked up. Is there anything else on this? There's got to be like a video or some people talking about it or something. Oh, there's a Good Morning Britain segment. That's going to be total shit. Let's have a look at that.
The story that we're
fucking hell, dude.
The story that we're kicking off with this morning has been, or is, the ban now on Maccabi Tel Aviv fans.
Oh, sorry, I'm setting up a goal. Epic goal going in chat, guys.
Hard to know where to start with this story. Obviously, the police have come to that conclusion. They've taken that decision seemingly with the community unadvised. But it's hard to know, given the condemnation across the political spectrum, how that chimes with Keir Starmer's promise to keep not just Jewish fans safe, but to stop
Yeah, get to the point.
Association and culture. And Caroline, you said it, you know, just in the green room. What happened to kick racism out of football? What happened to those endeavours? This is still the same thing. And progressing football and the way...
Yeah, I agree. But the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans are the racists. Yes.
People spectate football into a safe environment also includes foreign fans travelling here and making sure that they are safe and that they feel welcome.
It's not just about them being safe, it's about keeping everyone else safe from them. What do you mean? Why does nobody bring this up?
We look at what pressure they actually bow to, and this is really the problem. Before this even began, Ayub Khan, who is, as you know, the MP with... where the ground is in his constituency.
Well, I wouldn't say they're the threat. right? There's absolutely a risk that there are people in the UK, whether they be Muslims or otherwise, you know, obviously everyone always wants to point the finger at Muslims, but, you know, obviously Muslims are going to be pretty motivated about the whole Israel thing, that there might be people who are waiting for a club, especially a club that has a reputation like Maccabi Tel Aviv's, to come to the UK so that they can start some shit, so they can get in a fight, because they either hate Israel or hate Jews or whatever. There's obviously going to be some amount of risk of that. But the idea that it's just that, like, you know, I don't think any Israeli team would have been banned from visiting the UK, right? Fans would have been banned from visiting the UK. I don't think any team would have had that. I think it's specifically this team because there is that increased risk. Because not only is there possibly a risk of tensions with people already here, but also they have a huge reputation for violence. They've just been in a riot now. Obviously, they didn't have that when they made the decision, but just been in a riot now and have been in numerous violent occasions in the past. Are known for like these insane, you know, racist genocidal chants where they're like literally talking about just wiping out fucking Palestinians and raping them and shit. Like, yeah, there's an increased risk from this Israeli club specifically. It's not just about Israeli clubs. It's not about, you know, clubs associated with Jews. You know, fucking, you know, Spurs fans don't get banned from going to different clubs. That's not a thing that happens. So, you know, I just don't see it. I don't see the anti-Semitism. It's about this club. It's about this club because they've got specifically a reputation and issues with racism and violence, and that is an increased risk on top of anything that might already be there with a Jewish or Israeli club.
He started a petition before the ban, saying that the...
They do ban teams pretty often. Like, away teams get banned all the fucking time. Like, Samson was saying a minute ago, I think. His team always gets fucking banned. But the moment you do it to a Jewish club or an Israeli club, all of a sudden it's a bigotry issue. You know? All of a sudden. Never heard that before. Never heard of some, like, accusation of racism or some shit in the banning of a club before. First time I've ever heard this. The moment it's Israelis. Oh, it's the... You're demonizing Jews. You're demonizing Jews. No. No, this Israeli club is just a bunch of thuggish racists. It's just, you know, a massive problem.
The fixture should be called off. Now, you'll be aware of Ayub Khan. He used to be a Lib Dem MP. Amongst other things, well, he stopped being a Lib Dem MP. It's on the record, has questioned some of the Hamas atrocities. He attacked Emily Damari, the British Israeli hostage, online. On mutual agreement, he left the Lib Dems after refusing to take anti-Semitism training. Now, he's made a statement saying this was entirely decided on safety. But isn't the truth of it that the reason that this is not taking place is because the police cannot...
What's the counterpoint segment? Last night when I was watching JStog, he pulled up this debate where there's this guy who looks exactly like you know, the Chud Jack, you know, the drawing of the Chud Jack, nothing ever happens Chud Jack, you know that. There's a guy who looks exactly like that, who says that he's like a Counterpoints fan. It's the first time I've heard someone say they're like a Counterpoints fan. Like they describe themselves as if it was like clear he was like sort of a DGGer, but he actually started preferring Connor to Destiny because he's got all the marks of a DGGer. Like he behaves like a DGGer, but he actually started preferring Connor to Destiny and became a Connor fan and describes himself as a conservative and a Counterpoints fan. And he believes Counterpoints is the best example of conservatism, and it's fucking hilarious. And he's like super autistic. And it was just fucking hilarious. And we've just got to watch it. We got to watch it.
Adequately protect Jewish people and Israelis who are going to support their team. And the reason for that is because they don't have the muscle to stand up to protesters. Now, the simple reality there is that not only are the police not resourced, but the worry is that there is no meaningful will to protect, preserve, and defend Jewish people. And so I come back to the question, what does that say about Britain?
I really hope that that is not the case. And, you know, you've articulated it in a way that is incredibly powerful and persuasive. But I would like to believe that it's not because they're not willing to put the muscle forward. It is in their assessment. And, you know, it might be interesting to be able to have access to that assessment as to why that decision has been taken. But I do take your point that cultural agitation against nations, against people, is unacceptable. And one of the things that I have always said about cultural events and sporting events is that those are the forums in which we bring people together. And so talking about cultural boycotts, and you know, there's lots that occur for various different contexts, but talking about cultural boycotts actually undermines what we're seeing in the Middle East in terms of peace protests.
Cultural boycotts? I mean, it's really about the police. We've seen instances of, for example...
Sorry, I mean in terms of the MP sort of...
I hear you. Now, just to be clear, he ran to be a Lib Dem MP. He actually was one, Ayub Khan, just to be clear. But Karen, it's, you know, there have been instances where Jewish people have showed up on the streets of London...
Let's get this goal started.
Thank you, Caesar, with the $20. Hugely appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Where there were Gaza protests, perfectly reasonably taking place, if not some of the slogans, which, to say the least, are anti-Jewish, racist and problematic to be kind, where the police have gone up to Jewish people and said, you're obviously Jewish and therefore you're causing and posing a risk to us. Taking place, if not... There have been instances where Jewish people have showed up on the streets of London where there were...
Where's the video? Where's the video for this, Naga? Naga, where's Naga? No, I need the video for this. I need the video he's talking about in the police statement. This is so retarded. I can't believe fucking Good Morning Britain are pushing this shit. I cannot believe that. Where's the Jew getting arrested? Where's the Jew getting arrested for just for being Jewish? These days, you say you're Jewish. Where's the video of the Jew getting arrested for being Jewish? I can't. Fuck, where is it, man? Here we go. So, guys, can you believe it? The British police will arrest Jews just for being Jewish these days.
What necklace are you wearing?
What necklace am I wearing?
Yeah.
Star of David.
I think he set out his position in his statement that he was there as a legal observer. I think that's the concern.
That is what saying.
Yes.
But I've obviously got to investigate an allegation, and that these are the questions that I'm putting to him to either prove your involvement or non-involvement in the allegation.
So, isn't this terrible? They asked me if he was wearing a Star of David. He's being attacked for being a Jew. Guys, isn't the Telegraph such a great outlet? Isn't it awesome that the Telegraph got a hold of this and released this hard-hitting reporting? Isn't the Telegraph such a great outlet? Wow. Good job, Telegraph.
What necklace am I wearing?
Yeah.
Star of David.
Because the officer details this in their statement.
What, that I've got a Star of David?
Yeah.
So?
They felt that the actions that I've just mentioned about going up close proximity to the pro-Palestinian protesters.
Can I speak to my lawyer for a second?
Of course you can.
Able to...
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned about this question about the Star of David.
Why are you concerned?
Well, I think I'll have a private consultation.
Well, because you're an anti-Semite. Because I think the police are anti-Semites and you're attacking them for being Jewish.
We'll set out my
They arrest you just being Jewish these days.
The time is 02:09 and I'm pausing the interview. My line of questioning, first and foremost, is not to offend, it's not to discriminate. I want to have that on record. I'm not asking that question to cause you any offence. However, if we'd have proceeded with my line of questioning, the officers have noted in their statements that they believed that because the Star of David was out and present to people which may take either offence to the presence of it, they felt that that was antagonising the situation further.
Okay, well, I'm going to say that I think that's, with respect, appalling and shows a complete lack of ignorance on behalf of those officers.
Okay.
Because if they were familiar with the fact that IJAM were organising the protests, then they would recognise that how could a Mogen David cause offence, notwithstanding the fact that, you know, we shouldn't be in a situation where people can't walk around wearing a sign of...
Yeah, he was just walking around. He was just walking around being a Jew.
It's not like,
can you believe that?
Have...
He was just walking around being a Jew, and they arrested this guy because the Muslims might be upset by it. Can you believe that? Isn't that insane?
A great deal of concern.
It's almost like unbelievable, isn't it?
And the line of questioning, but I've recorded it on tape.
So
it's almost like completely. It's almost like totally unbelievable.
Myself,
like it's a fantasy.
And I believe for the Metropolitan Police Service as well, I don't believe that anyone has acted with a view to cause anyone an offence. However, we're talking about we're not talking about wearing a Star of David. I don't know what you're referring to, a Mogodovid?
Yeah, sorry, Star of David.
Star of David. I haven't heard that.
W. Base.
We're not talking about.
Sorry, what did you just call it?
With the Star of David chain
Star of
on
David.
his neck
Yeah.
in a open forum in public generally. We're talking about a very niche environment where tensions are high, where two sides are coming together, have adverse opinions, adverse views. That I think we can't open it up to say anyone can't walk around wearing what they want to wear. We're not talking about human rights in terms of where what he's wearing in a public forum. We're talking about a hostile environment where pro-Palestinian protesters are obviously objecting to what is happening in Israel and Gaza.
Okay,
that's what I want to say on that, and I'm not. I don't want this to become a political debate in an interview.
I appreciate that.
So, as to my last point that I made to you, the officers have written in their statements about the presence of the.
Okay, I'm going to speed this up because holy fuck, it drags.
Do you see how that could be an antagonistic emblem or sign, however you want to phrase it, to people in that environment?
I'd like to answer the question. I have nothing further to add.
I would put it to you that you have been present at this protest, knowing full well the conditions imposed by Commander. These were imposed on the 29th of the 8th, 25 at 15:25. You sought advice from Gold Commander or the inspector on the ground. You've been made aware of these conditions. You're well aware of these conditions that are in place. I put it to you that you were well aware that your presence to a certain sector of that protest was going to antagonise it.
Is that a question?
It's a speech. I've dodged the question.
Well, I'm putting it to you. Like, what have you got to say?
I have nothing further to add.
I put it to you that you've knowingly breached those conditions by going between the two protest areas. You've been warned by officers multiple times.
So wait, what was that? What was that at the end there? Funny how this bit's right at the end. They don't make a big deal out of this part, do they? They don't make a big deal out of this part at all. No one mentions this part when they were talking about it. What was that though? What did they just say?
Putting it to you, like what have you got to say?
I have nothing further to add.
I put it to you that you've knowingly breached those conditions by going between the two protest areas. You've been warned by officers multiple times.
I put it to you that you have knowingly breached those conditions by going between the two protest areas. Officers warned you multiple times. So it wasn't just a Jew arrested for walking around wearing a Star of David and a bunch of Muslims got offended and they had to be arrested because Muslims were offended. He was at the protest. He was part of the counter-protesters, and he was crossing between the counter-protest area, which is separated to prevent violence, and the protest area, repeatedly against the warning of officers, with visible signs of being Jewish or in support of Israel. It's so fucking obvious why this guy got booked. I doubt this guy will get convicted of anything or even charged. They usually just do this to get people out of the situation when they're causing the problem. But it's so fucking crazy to get upset about this. It's so dumb. And people are actually acting like the police are being anti-Semitic. It's so fucking crazy, man. The Hamas police.
To stop. You've still been acting in the way that you wished. Is that the fact?
So right at the end there. Fucking disgusting rag Telegraph. We responded to allegations. We arrested a man at a protest in August for wearing a Star of David necklace. This is not true. The wider context is set out below. We understand the concerns raised, but the claim the man was arrested for wearing a Star of David necklace is not true. He was arrested for repeatedly breaching the Public Order Act conditions that were in place to keep the opposing protest groups apart. The conditions required protesters from the pro-Israel group Stop the Hate to remain in one area, with protesters from the pro-Palestinian group IJAN required to remain in a separate area. The man told officers he was acting as an independent legal observer, but his actions are alleged to have breached the conditions in place and to have gone beyond observing in an independent and neutral way to provoking and, as such, actively participating as a protester. Over the course of an hour, the man is alleged to have continuously approached the area allocated to IJAN, getting very close to protesters to film them and provoking a reaction. Officers had to intervene at least 4 times to ask the man to return to the Stop the Hate area as required by the conditions. When he failed to do so after multiple warnings, he was arrested, he was released on bail, and the investigation continues. The clipped footage released in which officers questioned the man's status and actions as an independent legal observer in 6 minutes of an hour-long interview. We can fully appreciate why this clip in isolation causes concern, and we are continuing to review and work with communities to understand the concerns they have voiced. Totally reasonable. Totally reasonable. It's so fucking crazy. And people have just ran with that being an anti-Semitic arrest for like the whole fucking last few days.
Gaza protests, perfectly reasonably taking place, if not some of the slogans, which, to say the least, are anti-Jewish, racist and problematic to be kind, where the police have gone up to Jewish people and said, you're obviously Jewish and therefore you're causing and posing a risk to us.
So look how he phrases it, man. Look how he describes that story.
Where the police have gone up to Jewish people and said, you're obviously Jewish and therefore you're causing and posing a risk to us. If there's any foundation that the reason this decision was made was because the police simply were not either willing, which is doubtful, or not prepared, or not capable of protecting fans, we really need to be worried about that, don't we?
I think we absolutely have to be worried about that because actually, you know, there should be no no-go areas for anybody in our society to conduct, you know, things that we do every day, going to work, enjoying a football match, going to the cinema, going to a concert, going to a festival. You know, these are...
Jews can't even play football anymore. They can't go to the cinema anymore. They can't cry. They can't laugh. What can Jews do, man?
The things that everybody should be entitled to, whether it's Jewish people going to this match from this country who are British citizens, or whether it's fans coming from overseas. And you're describing...
Oh, yeah, this is footage of him in Amsterdam. Thank you for the $1, thank you. Like, dude. Let the Israeli army bring Victor into... What could possibly be the problem? What problem could this pose? God, really, you're banning Jews from seeing football? Jews can't even play football anymore, I guess. Wow. Wow. Just for being Jewish. These days, you'll be arrested and banned from going to football just for being Jewish. Really? These days? Yeah, these days.
Some of the activities of this man and what he's put out on social media, it's almost, what are we going to do? We've got to deal with this. Because people put stuff out like that, and we know it inflames certain people.
And he's almost MP.
Like
he is an MP. He's part of our
there's a question about provocation in all this.
Yeah.
But what we're going to do is bow down and say to people, sorry, because of this, you're not able to go to do something, an everyday thing. And it's very worrying. And I do think football has got something to answer for this.
It's always like fucking goys on TV doing this shit as well. Like these people are like, it's like, what is this woman doing? What are you doing here talking about how bad Jews have got it in the UK? You are like literally like one lost election away from being fucking either sent out or you know, you know. terrible things might happen to you in the next few. Like, I don't know why you talk about how bad Jews have got it. Okay, look after yourself. Look after yourself. You're one bad election away. It's crazy, man. I was saying this earlier, but it's just like so insane. I hate being fucking, you know, I don't even say this about, oh, Islamophobia is so bad. I'm not like that. I'm not like fucking caring about racism shit all the time. But it's crazy to focus on anti-Semitism and not talk about Islamophobia. If you're going to talk about it, if you're going to talk about the rise of bigotry in the UK, it's insane to talk about fucking anti-Semitism and not talk about Islamophobia. Jews are not anywhere close. Nothing bad is going to happen to Jews legislatively in this country. Jews aren't at any like real risk. Okay, there's like there was an isolated instance of violence where one person was killed and one person was shot by police. There was an isolated instance of violence recently that I understand has got a lot of people really, you know, nervous. But broadly, it's really not that bad, and there's no risk of any legislation attacking you. Bear in mind, immediately after that knife attack, people tried to attack a mosque with a arson attack, where a guy was in the mosque at the time and had to escape. So it like just pointing to one example all the time of being like, it's so scary for Jews right now is so crazy. It's beyond parody. But yeah, Jews aren't at risk from the government. Muslims kind of are right now. Reform like want to fucking strip citizenship from basically anyone that, well, not citizenship, it's ILR, from basically anyone that's been here in the last, what is it, since I don't know how long it would even be. They want to strip all ILR and make you work for it back, basically. It's like that's a huge amount of Muslims in this country, and it is because they're Muslims. It is because they're fucking Muslims, obviously, or brown, basically. They don't even care if they're Muslims, it's just about being brown. They don't even give a fuck. Like, I was watching some Sky News report the other day, like, Sikhs are getting, like, crazy shit. I mean, it is always like that, exactly. Islamophobia always just carries over to every brown person. It's just the way it is. But yeah, because I was watching the Sky News report about these Sikhs the other day, who are, like, getting insane amounts of shit. And obviously, Sikhs are, like, some of the most well-integrated, like, you know, like, considered, like, model minority, right? They're, like, pretty broadly... People like Sikhs. People who, if you know enough about, even racists a lot of the time, if they know enough about the different religions to know what a Sikh is, they're like, oh no, Sikhs are fine. That's usually the way people go about it. But even now, they're just like completely fucked. They're completely fucked by it. Is Toastify a Sikh? Is that for real? I heard he was Indian.
Is bow down and say to people, sorry, because of this, you're not able to go to do something, an everyday thing. And it's very worrying. And I do think football has got something to answer for this, because there have been lots of incidents over years where UEFA and others have not stepped up. When we've had black players go to other countries and face racism, now we cannot have this happen where we have to bend down to a situation that is threatening our everyday activities that should be part of normal life. So there is a real question here.
No, just one of the things just on the part of the police's position in this. The incident you mentioned in Amsterdam, the match in Amsterdam that led to arrests on both sides. Some Israeli fans arrested as well.
It is just a circle jerk. I remember when Piers Morgan used to be on there, they used to just have Piers Morgan like lay into a bunch of like, you know, non-binary fucking teenagers and just be like, there's only two genders, right? There's only... like, just do that for fucking 30 minutes at a time. Now, is it just circle jerks all the time on Good Morning Britain? Is it just like, oh yeah, don't the Jews have it so hard? It's so terrible for the Jews.
Because the Ajax were accused of ripping down, Israeli fans were accused of ripping down Palestinian flags, and then there was a scuffle between them. For the police, a tension that is relevant to Jewish people all the time in our life, but I feel as though it may have been...
Dude, what am I just saying? Kellen Erudite. Bro.
Escalated by the situation in the Middle East. It's difficult for them to know how to manage that, isn't it, without the power to act?
Absolutely. And, you know, Caroline and I have both served in the Home Office. You know, we see what the police has to deal with on a daily basis. And, you know, notwithstanding that it comes with contracting resources. However, the police can provide the assessment, they can provide the advice, and the decisions that are taken can be based on advice.
I don't know how much more this will do, but I'm going to just swipe quickly, and then we'll move on to something else. Dude, I put Emery in the title, but I don't actually have any real new developments on the Emery stuff. I just have a bunch of really cringe tweets.
We don't want to take the trouble, we don't want to take the risk. And that's where the politics comes in.
Right.
And that's where, if Keir Starmer is saying, as the Prime Minister, this is unacceptable, then what are the practical steps that you can take with that political intervention? Because those two things, the pragmatic and the practical, have to sit alongside everything that Caroline's just said, which is the ethical, which is it right? Is it right that people are scared of going out or not being able to live everyday life? And that's what the importance of politics.
And I would like to see... Look, I understand... I think Summer's absolutely right. We all know about the different pools on police time. But I would like to hear the police talk about things like, we will not tolerate anti-Semitism. We will not tolerate racism. You will be arrested if you come to an event and cause harm to others.
Well...
And
they might feel they can't do that because they might they haven't got the political will.
Say that.
Can we just have a look at what the Prime Minister said?
As opposed to previous statements by police where they say, well, obviously police usually say, we tolerate anti-Semitism, we tolerate racism, we will not be arresting anyone at this event. We'll be arresting you if you're white. We'll be arresting you if you're Muslim. That's what they usually say. I'm not reading, so let's start this chat. So just... Okay. Saying that Emery's going to get blacked. Okay.
Ex-post, he said, clearly criticising police, this is the wrong decision. We will not tolerate anti-Semitism on our streets. The role of the police is to ensure all football fans can enjoy the game without fear of violence or intimidation, just as we're all calling for, aren't we? But when he actually spoke about it, I wonder if people might feel it was quite empty.
And that's at CST, Salma, just to be clear that people understand who they are, the Community Security Trust. That is a private, de facto, police and security service paid for by the Jewish community in order to protect not just every single synagogue in this country, but every school child that goes to school, because they are the subject of potential attack every single day. It's an act of courage to take your kid to a Jewish school.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is the thing where it's... Look, I never, even as a Conservative, I never come on and just blindly criticise any political party, because I know that these jobs are hard. But I think that is difficult because he's gone to the CST, which is a private organisation. It does receive some government money, but it is largely privately funded, to talk about security, because we can all take those steps. We can all say anti-Semitism is abhorrent. But what are the practical steps?
It's an act of courage to take your kids to a Jewish school, he says, in a country where, like, probably a good like, 40% minimum of the population would, if you told them there is such thing as a Muslim school in this country, start immediately spazzing out, say it should be banned and everyone involved should be charged and deported. Like, that's the country you live in, and you're sitting there going, oh, it's an act of bravery to take your kids to a Jewish school. Bro, no one give a fuck about Jews in this country. Bro, literally, it's fucking delusional.
To take. Now, if he is saying, rightly, that this is the wrong decision, he can't change the police advice. The police advice is just fact. So what can we actually do? Is there different protection? Is there better security? Is there a different kind of patrol system or check system that you can put in around that stadium and around that match? I think we have to get practical about what it actually means to say that we are going to protect Jewish people or visiting fans coming into the country.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, what can he do? But, you know, before you even get there, the real worry, as has often been the case, is that things are shut down, political things you don't like, views you don't like, on the pretext of safety. And we've seen that across the political aisle. And that's genuinely the worry here, that the police not only don't have the will, let's say, but they've bowed down to political pressure from a movement which has effectively stopped Israeli fans coming to support their team. And as you said, Caroline, Again, we ask that question. What does it say about the will, the resources, and the willingness of
just total
police
delusion?
To,
it's just like totally delusional. It's like the most wretched shilling in the world. Dude, it's so shameful. What's the reporting going to be like on this riot? Surely after the riots today, they'll be like, okay, well, this is why they were banned. Right? What is the reporting going to be like on that? Has anyone really reported on it yet? Is there anything on Sky News about it? Any extended segment? I don't see it. I guess we'll have to wait till tomorrow to really see the response to it. I can't watch any more of this Good Morning Britain shit though. It's actually fucking